The time the keg ruined the party. Being a junior in high school had its perks. Some of us had our driver's licenses, others had fake IDs, and when we put our limited brainpower together, we managed to have a pretty good time. But with every wild party came some kind of sacrifice, usually from someone like me, who ended up holding the bag when things went south. This one particular party was already shaping up to be a disaster before it even started. The host, who should have been handling things, couldn't drive his car. Something about points on his license or expired insurance. It didn't matter. Bottom line, he didn't want to drive. And since we were juniors, figuring out party logistics was somehow our responsibility. His brilliant idea? We had to pick up the keg from the store and bring it to his house. The catch? I didn't have a car of my own, and my friend only had a learner's permit because he'd been held back a grade. So, we had to use his car. We drove to the store, IDs in hand, ready to pull off this impressive, and illegal, purchase. But to our surprise, the keg was already paid for, and the guy at the store didn't even bother checking our IDs. He must have known we were underage but didn't care. He was just happy to make the sale. As he loaded the keg into the trunk of the SUV, he chatted us up about some game he'd watched the night before. Honestly, he seemed more like a guy trying to hang with the cool kids than a responsible adult. So, with the keg secured in the trunk, or so we thought, we hit the road. The hardest part was behind us, or so we thought. Halfway to the party, we hit a bump. Suddenly, there was a loud crash from the back. My heart stopped, and I swerved the car to the side of the road. In the middle of nowhere on a country road, we were frozen. We thought we'd broken a bunch of beer bottles, but then reality set in. We didn't have bottles back there, just a keg. The entire back window had been smashed. Shattered glass was everywhere, and the keg was sitting there like a guilty party, having blown out the window with its weight. It was a scene straight out of Pulp Fiction, where neither of us knew what to do next. We had two options: bring the car back and face the music, or ditch the car and risk even bigger charges like underage drinking, grand theft auto. There was no winning. We couldn't exactly drive around with no back window and a rogue keg rolling in the trunk, so we did the only thing that made sense at the time. We drove back, slowly, stopping at every stop sign like our lives depended on it, which, let's be honest, they kind of did. Every minute of that 10-minute drive felt like an hour. We were in deep, and all we could do was pray we'd make it without getting pulled over. When we finally made it back to the house, we went inside, already bracing for the worst. The host, already a few drinks in, pre-gaming for the party. At first, I thought maybe his buzz would make him more forgiving. No such luck. As soon as we told him what happened, he lost it. He started going off about how it was our fault for not strapping in the keg properly and driving too fast. He said we had to pay for the keg and the window. Like this was all on us. That's when I snapped. I told him to F off. I mean, seriously? He was out of his mind if he thought I was going to pay for the whole party just because he couldn't be bothered to drive his own car. He let us borrow the car in the first place because he couldn't drive and I was doing him a favor. Now, I was supposed to shell out cash for his screw-up? No way. The whole situation just proved what kind of guy he was. A guy who didn't take responsibility for anything and was happy to throw his friends under the bus when things went wrong. I wasn't about to let him make me the villain in his disaster. In the end, I walked away without paying a dime, but I learned a lesson. The keg may ruin the party, but people like him, they'll ruin your life if you let them.